Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide on Pegu EU4 1.31 Leviathan. Before we begin, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. Only 10% of you are subscribed, so it would really mean a lot. Let's get started. Now, Pegu is a nation in Southeast Asia surrounded by some stronger neighbors and some weaker neighbors, but it's definitely not in a weak spot itself. You can also get 2 achievements with Pegu: Sailor Mon, which requires you to have 100,000 sailors, and That's No Mon, which requires you to own 50 provinces that are not of the Mon culture. So, let's see what Pegu is all about. First, we're going to start off by taking this decision. Then we're going to send one merchant to transfer trade from Malacca to Bengal, and we're going to send the other merchant to collect in Bengal. This isn't that optimal right now, but it will help us in about 15 to 20 years. Next, we're going to set our rivals. It's usually going to be the ones that have already rivaled us, such as Tuangu and Prom and Arkan. Next, we're going to go into the estates and summon the Diet. You can pick whichever agenda is best for you. And we're going to seize land. We're going to give the monastic orders Clerical Advisory Council, Clerical Ministers, and Monastic Temples. We're going to give the nobility increased levies, aristocratic councilors, and we're going to give them merchant guilds, patronage of the arts, commercial advisory board, private trade fleets, and tropical city planning. We're going to send our 2 light ships to protect trade in Burma, hire 2 more infantry regiments, give military command to our ruler and heir, and we're going to hire a military advisor, a morale or a discipline guy. If you have both like I do, take the morale guy. We're going to send 1 diplomat to build a spy network on Arkan, another one to spy on Prom or Tuangu. I'm going to spy on Prom. And with the final diplomat, we're going to offer an alliance to a pretty strong nation. Usually it will be someone here or someone here. In my case, it's both. So I am going to send an alliance to Khmer. And once that diplomat comes back, I'm going to send another alliance to one of these nations over here. Now it's time to unpause. My diplomat just came back and I am going to ally this nation right here, Senwi. Pegu is also a unique nation that starts off with 2 monuments, one in Dagon, which is the Shwedagon Pagoda, and it starts off at level 1 and it gives us local unrest -1. And we also have this palace in Pegu, which at level 3 will give us -20 advisor costs, +2 diplo rep, +2 diplomatic relations. And this one at level 3 gives us some dev cost in the province, unrest in the area, and we get monthly karma +10 globally. So they are both pretty good monuments and we will be focusing on upgrading them. Now it's time to wait for our spy network on Arkan and Prom or Tuangu to build up. Pegu also starts with the Mandala system government reform, which gives us +15% income from vassals, +100% vassal force limit contribution, -33% governing capacity, and we can concentrate development with no losses, so we are going to be taking advantage of that. Now my spy networks on Arkan and Prom have finished, and I am building one on Tuangu. And once your spy network on one of these 3 nations has finished, we're going to be declaring on the weakest one. So Tuangu is allied with Arkan, which is pretty neat for us actually. In my case, this might not be the case for you, and Mongnai, and they are a tributary of Ava. Prom is allied to Mongyang, and they are a tributary of Ava, and Arkan is allied to Tuangu. So it seems like in my case, it's best for me to attack Arkan, and maybe I'll even full annex Tuangu in this war. So that's what I am going to do. First, hire an admiral and send all your ships in front of Arkan, if you are fighting them first, of course, and I am going to be declaring on them in the conquest of this province right here, and I will declare this war. I will focus on their weaker ally first, which is Tuangu in this case. So I just pieced out Tuangu and I pillaged their capital and took all their money. And now I'm going to full annex Arkan. We're going to concentrate development in their area, and now we are going to release them. I couldn't vassalize them because the vassalize peace deal is bugged out in this update, so I'm just going to release them because they have a core on Bengal's province right here. And a subject or 2 could be useful, definitely. And there we go. Now it's time to build up for a few years and get ready to declare on one of these guys over here, or even Ayutthaya or their subject if they are weak. In my case, they are in a war with Langshan right now, so we'll see what we can do. While we're doing this, we should also be currying favors with all 3 of our allies. Now that I have 10 favors with all 3 of my allies, which in my case are Lan Na, Senwi, and Khmer, it's time for me to declare war on the second nation. Now in your case, it might be one of these guys like me, or you might be declaring on Arkan now. I'm going to be declaring on Prom, and they are allied to Mongyang up here, who do have a level 3 fort, and Mongpai right here. And Ava will protect them. So I am going to declare on them, and I am gonna call in these 2 guys right here. We're saving Khmer for our war with Ayutthaya. And I'm going to focus on knocking out the allies first, and Ava, and then Rome or Twango in your case maybe. And once I've fully occupied these smaller allies here, I'm just going to be pillaging their capital and taking all their money. And now that we fully occupied Ava, we're gonna pillage their capital, we're gonna humiliate them, we're gonna make them cancel their overlordship over whichever one of these two nations you didn't fight. So in my case it's Twangu, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna take all their money. And of course I'm gonna fully annex Prom. In your case it might be Twangu, whichever one of these two you are fighting. Now that we have sort of taken care of Ava in the first war, it's time to set our sights on Ayutthaya. We gotta take care of them early so they don't start blobbing. And in my case, of course, they already have taking a bunch of provinces from Lanshan. So we're gonna build up favors with Khmer, Lanshan, and Lan Na. You should be allied to some of these nations. In my case, I am allied to Lan Na and Khmer. And we're gonna wait for the right time to declare Ayutthaya are pretty strong. By this time, you should also have Diplotech 4, and you should start building marketplaces in the most valuable provinces, which would be these three provinces right here. Firstly in Pegu, then in Dagon, and then in this province right here. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna build a marketplace here and here. This is also around the time that you should be building up galleys up to your force limit to help us in the war with Ayutthaya. When you have enough government reform progress to unlock your tier 2 reform, I actually do recommend going for the Uparaja succession reform, which gives us plus 0.5 yearly prestige and legitimacy and plus 0.05 monthly heir claim. If you don't think this is strong enough, you should go for the strength and noble privileges, but I do recommend taking this one as we definitely could use that prestige and it's a very strong modifier. Now by this time, you should have enough favors, like I do right now, with at least 2 out of these 3 nations, if not all 3 of them. So Lan Na, Lanshan, and Khmer, you should have enough favors with them to call them into your first war against Ayutthaya. And Ayutthaya does have 2 allies who are Mong Mao and Pagaryang, but honestly it's not going to be a problem. So set your boats in place, set your army on their border. You should have built up to force limit, and we are going to be declaring on Ayutthaya. As you can see, I've already made claims on some of their provinces, and we are gonna call in our allies who border them, and we're gonna be declaring this war. And just go for their forts and avoid combat if you can. Ayutthaya does have some crazy cavalry combat ability as their traditions, so watch out for those elephants. Peace out their allies as soon as you can, just white peace them if you need to. We really need to be focusing as much as we can on Ayutthaya themselves. Now once you get as much war score as you can, in my case I think this is about the maximum I can get without going all the way over here and occupying this guy, we are going to be taking their 2 forts, so their fort in Sakuttai and their fort in Tawai. In my case Sakuttai is occupied by Lan Na, and I don't really want to give it to them. So ideally you would take these 4 or 5 provinces, you know, something like this, basically to cut them off from their southern portion and their vassal. But since Sakuttai is occupied by Lan Na, I'm just gonna do something like this, and I'm also gonna take as much money as I can from them, as well as war reps, and that's gonna be the peace deal. Of course, make sure to concentrate development before coring. And with all those ducats we got from them, we're gonna build our 3rd marketplace over here in this province, and we are going to build a church in Pegu. For your first idea group, I recommend taking quantity ideas, as we are gonna be fighting a lot of war and we definitely need the manpower and all the stuff it provides for us. This is also around the time that the Renaissance should have already spawned. In my case, it spawned a bit late, around 1456, and we will be deving up the Renaissance in the province of Dagon right here. This is because our capital is too expensive from all the concentrating development and capital pillaging we have been doing, so we are going to be deving in Dagon. So of course you should have already granted tropical city planning to your merchants, and you should be getting another -10 dev cost if they're super loyal, and we will also be enabling the encourage development state edict in our capital state, so that should give us quite a few development discounts. And you should dev with everything you can, primarily with Diplo and mill power, but you can dev with admin if you have it too. and just keep deving that province. Now that we've finished our first war with Ayutthaya, it's time to look for an alliance in India so we can set our sights on Bengal. Try to ally some of Bengal's rivals like Orissa, Jaunpur or Malwa in my case. So let's see, I can ally Orissa right here, which is excellent, and I am going to do that. I will go one slot over my diplomatic relations limit, but honestly it's fine. We will need their alliance in order to take down Bengal, since they are pretty strong. So once you ally some of Bengal's rivals and your diplomat comes back, we will curry favors with them. In the meantime, it's time to recover your economy and your manpower. Now Lan Na just called me into a war against Ava, and I have selected Ava's provinces as provinces of interest, so they might give me some in this war. Either way, join your allies' wars, of course if they're not too difficult, since we want to build up favors with them so we can call them in and get some ducats and manpower from them. So I did just help out Lan Na in this war, and they did give me one province from Ava, which is pretty sweet. You know, take what you can, and I did get a bunch of favors with them. And now I do have 10 favors with Orissa, so we will be getting ready to declare on Bengal very soon. We just need to build up our manpower a little bit. So now that some time has passed and we have stabilized a bit and gone up in manpower, it's time to declare on Bengal. And now I am gonna take a loan right here and hire the free company because I don't want to waste too much manpower. Now this will take me over my force limit, but it's just for this war, so it's not a big deal. And once we get our morale up on our army and free company, we'll get ready to declare. Now you may be tempted to take your ships over here in order to blockade Bengal, but don't do that, since we rely primarily on galleys while they have heavy ships, and this is not an inland sea, so keep your ships in port and put your armies on their border. Now that our army has full morale, it's time to declare on Bengal and call in whoever you allied from over here, basically one of their rivals. And we do see that Bengal does have an ally, who is Andhra. Now if they have someone stronger as an ally, you may need to get even more alliances, but it doesn't usually happen since Bengal are pretty strong themselves and rival all the other strong guys. And we're going to declare for a reconquest of Chittagong, which is a core of our subject Arkan. When you do unlock your first age ability, I recommend going for the Justified Wars ability. Now I did just get a pop-up that I can call in Lan Na in this war as well, and if you can call in another ally except for the ones in India, you definitely should do that. Now once you do have sufficient war score, it should be around 60 to 80%, there's no need to drag out this war any longer. And here's what we're gonna do in the peace deal. We're gonna make Bengal give this province back to Arkan, and we're also gonna give these two provinces to Arkan, so not for ourselves. We will also pillage their capital, get the max amount of ducats that we can, and get war reps. Now the reason we're not taking any more land is because after we give this province back to Arkan, we will unlock the mission Subjugate Arkan, which will give us permanent claims on the West Bengal and East Bengal areas, so we can declare later for them and maybe something else too. But that's gonna be the peace deal. As you can see, we have unlocked this mission now and we are gonna take it. And we do get claims on these provinces over here. Now it's time to get back home and get ready to declare another war on Wangu or Ava. For your naval doctrine, you can select either of these three, so shipboarding, merchant navy, or free oarsmen. I am gonna go with the shipboarding doctrine. Once we finished our war with Bengal, it's time to declare on Tuangu or Rome, whichever one you haven't conquered, because we had such long truces with them. In your case, you might have done this already, but if you haven't and your game is going like mine, now is the time to declare on them, and we will do that. I'm gonna call on my ally just so we can take care of their small allies quicker, and I do have lots of favors with them, so why not? Once the war is done, of course we will full annex them and take all their money. Now at this point, you might fulfill the mission Resist the Burmans. See, I need for my army to be at least 90% of my force limit, which it isn't. But if you do complete this mission, do not take it. As you can see, it gives us permanent claims on Central and Upper Burma, which is right here. And it gives us a subjugation CB on Lan Na. Now we don't want that subjugation CB to expire, so we will only take this mission when we get a border with Lan Na. And if you're allied with them, like in my case, you will need to break that alliance. So I will not take this this mission until I have these areas here and I'm bordering them and I've dissolved my alliance with them. They're also a tributary of Ming, so it's gonna be pretty hard to declare on them. So we will only take this mission when we have the right opportunity to declare a subjugation on Lan Na. Once our truce with Ayutthaya is up, it's time to declare on them once again, and we will be calling in all our allies that are willing to come. Anyone who's in this area should be willing to come, since you should have a ton of favors with them by now. And that's what we are gonna do. We are gonna declare on Ayutthaya now. So once you do beat down Ayutthaya sufficiently enough, here's what we're gonna take in the peace deal. So I'm gonna take their other fort, which I didn't manage to take previously. Maybe you took it previously. Either way, we're not gonna take too much. As we can see, aggressive expansion is pretty high, and we don't really want to get into a coalition war. So I am gonna take these 3 provinces for yourself. You should probably take 2 or 3, maybe even 4 provinces at this point. I am gonna give 1 province to Khmer to keep them happy and to weaken Ayutthaya even further. I'm gonna take all their money and war reps, and this should weaken Ayutthaya pretty significantly. For your third government reform, I recommend taking decentralized bureaucracy, which gives us +2 max promoted cultures. We need this since our culture group, the Mon Khmer culture group, is very small, and even if we become an empire, we still don't have a lot of accepted cultures, so we will have to do either some converting or accepting. For your second age ability, you should take improved war taxes. And after that, just activate war taxes. Don't forget to turn it off when the Age of Discovery ends though. Now that our truce with Bengal is up, it's time to declare on them for the second time, and they will be weaker this time, of course. And of course you should call on any ally that will come, but you should be able to beat them by yourself this time too. So we're just gonna declare for one of these provinces here. I'm gonna declare for Dhaka, and there we go. Once you do take Admin Tech 7, I recommend taking Economic Ideas for your second idea group. This is not only for the excellent bonuses it provides and their policies with quantity, but we also need their policy with maritime ideas. As you can see, it's like the 7th or 8th idea down from this list, which gives us National Sailors modifier plus 25%. Of course, this is extremely important for the Sailor Mon achievement, which requires us to have 100,000 sailors. But even if you're not going for that achievement, I still recommend taking this idea group as your second idea group. Once you fully occupy Bengal, we are gonna take these 4 provinces right here. So this one right here, Dhaka, is the most important one, and these 2 right here. Basically 4 out of 5 provinces in the East Bengal area, but Dhaka is the most important one since it is center of trade and an estuary modifier, and we need those to up our trade power in the Bengal trade node. We're gonna take these 4 provinces, as much money as we can, and war reps. So if your game has been going a little something like mine, by about 1480, it should look a little something like this. You should own most of these provinces, have a big subject in Arkan, and at this point we've already defeated our biggest rivals, which are Ayutthaya, Ava, and Bengal multiple times. Now you definitely have a good power base to continue expanding. If you're going for the That's No Mon achievement, which requires you to own provinces that are not of Mon culture, you will get that anyway just by playing the game, as there's a ton of provinces here to conquer. If you're going for the Sailor Mon achievement, which requires you to have 100,000 sailors, here's what you're going to do. So for your third idea group, I recommend taking quality ideas. This will boost our army and navy significantly in quality and a combat ability. For your fourth idea group, you should take trade ideas, as Pegu's ideas are trade focused already, and it will help us to dominate trade extremely. Now for your fifth idea group, you should take maritime ideas. Yes, you heard that right, maritime ideas. One of the worst idea groups in the game, but you should still take it because we get plus 50% national sailors modifier from this. Combine that with the policy with economic ideas, and that gives us another 25% national sailors modifier. After that, you should also build a ton of dry docks, which give us plus 100 sailors in the province, as well as impressment offices, which give us plus 250 sailors in all provinces that you can. If you're not going for the Sailor Mon achievement, you can pick whatever idea group you like for the fifth one. but if you are, you have to take Maritime Ideas. With Maritime Ideas and the policy with economic and building up all those dry docks and impressment offices, you will eventually get to 100,000 sailors. Of course, you should continue expanding and focusing on coastal areas. By this point, you should also have 3 or 4 monuments. Like I mentioned previously, we already start with these 2 right here. There's also one in Pagan right here, the Bagan temples, and there is one in Bangkok, the Grand Palace of Bangkok. Here's the order in which you should focus upgrading them. So first, you're gonna want to focus on this palace because we get minus 20% advisor costs, diplo-rep, and diplomatic relations. Now, as you can see, I already have 40% discount advisor costs plus another 25 from the estate privileges, so we already have 65% advisor discounts already, and you can get another 20% from here. After this one, you should focus on the Grand Palace of Bangkok because we get some aggressive expansion, vassal stuff, absolutism, and governing capacity. After this one, you should focus on upgrading the Bagan temples in Pagan, which will give us some missionary strength and karma modifiers. And finally, you should focus on the Shwedagon Pagoda. Of course, there are other monuments in the vicinity that you will be conquering, like Angkor Wat, and this is a very good monument to have as well. And after this point, you're just gonna keep focusing on expanding in this area, in this area, and in this area. At some point, when you do conquer a lot of the Bengal trade node, you should move your trade capital to this trade node, and you can put it in this province right here, the Bengal Delta or Dhaka, and keep building up those marketplaces in the center of trade provinces. You can also go down your mission tree. It's not that strong, but it does give you some nice stuff, such as plus 2% missionary strength from this mission, subjugation CBs from this mission, and some good stuff like that. So now you know how to get both of the achievements for Pegu, and you should be in an excellent position to keep expanding, and you should already be the dominant power in all of Southeast Asia and maybe even parts of India. That's been it for this guide. Let me know in the comments below what's the next nation I should do a guide on. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe. Only 10% of you are subscribed, so it really means a lot. And I've also launched channel memberships, so if you want to support the channel with more than subscribing, you can check out the join button down below and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.